I never told my friend's mom I was in the car when her daughter overdosed because she still thanks me for trying to help, and I can't bear to tell her that I froze, that I watched the life leave her eyes and did nothing until it was too late. This happened 3 years ago, but I still think about it all the time. I haven't told anyone the full truth. People think they know what happened, but they don't. Not even Mara's mom. Especially not her. We were both 19. It was spring, but one of those cold weeks where everything's muddy and dead, and you feel like you're waiting for something to change. Mara had dropped out of community college that winter. She said she was just taking a break, but I think we both knew she wasn't going back. I was working at a tire shop. I didn't have any real plans either. That day, she texted me around noon. Just said, "You around?" I picked her up like I always did. She didn't drive, never even tried to get her license. She said being a passenger made her feel safer. Said it reminded her of being a kid, when someone else was in charge. She didn't look good that day. Pale, twitchy. She kept rubbing her hands together, like she was cold or anxious. I asked her if she was okay. She said she was just tired. We didn't have a plan. We never really did. Usually we'd get food or drive around or smoke behind the old hardware store that shut down during COVID. That day she said she wanted to go to the spot, which meant the lake, really just the edge of the woods by the water. I drove us there. I didn't ask why. When we parked, she pulled something out of her jacket pocket. I didn't recognize it at first. A little silver pouch, a few cotton balls, a lighter, a small capped syringe. I froze when I realized what it was. She saw me looking and said, "It's not a big deal. I'm just doing a little. It helps." I didn't say anything. She started getting everything ready. I didn't know what to do. I kept thinking if I tell her to stop, she'll get mad. She'll leave. She won't talk to me again. And I didn't want that. Mara was the only person I was still close to. She tied something around her arm. She did it so calmly, like she'd done it before. I felt sick watching it, but I still didn't stop her. She leaned back after she was done, like she was floating. Her eyes half shut, lips parted, head resting against the window. She smiled a little, barely. I said her name. She didn't answer. I said it again, louder. Nothing. Then I noticed her lips were turning gray. Her chest wasn't moving. That's the moment I broke. But not in the way I should have. I froze. I just sat there. I remember thinking, this can't be happening. I told myself she was going to wake up. That it was just part of it. That it looked worse than it was. I stared at her. For way too long. Then something shifted. I can't even explain it. Just this cold panic that hit me all at once. I touched her shoulder. Shook her a little. She didn't move. I called 911, finally. I lied and said I was walking by the woods when I saw someone slumped in a car. I gave them the location, hung up, and stood outside the car until they got there. My hands were shaking so bad I couldn't even light a cigarette. They arrived fast, but not fast enough. They tried to revive her there on the ground next to the car. I watched them do it. I watched her body twitch under the shock pads. I stood there, useless, while people in uniforms did what I should have done earlier. Later that night, at the hospital, her mom saw me in the waiting room. I didn't want to be there, but I couldn't bring myself to leave. She came up to me and hugged me tight. I hadn't been hugged like that in years. She said, "Thank you for staying with her. Thank you for not letting her be alone." I nodded. I said, "Of course." And I've been lying ever since. After the funeral, I didn't go back to the lake. Couldn't even drive past it. I kept telling myself I'd talk to someone. A therapist. Her mom. Anybody. But weeks went by, then months, and the lie just became part of my life. I stopped thinking of it as a lie. I started thinking of it as protection for her mom, mostly. I told myself that the truth wouldn't help her. That it would only hurt more. That she needed to believe someone had tried. But that wasn't true. The real reason I didn't say anything is because I didn't want her to hate me. And because I didn't want to admit what I'd done or didn't do. The hardest part was that her mom kept reaching out. She started calling me every couple weeks. Just to talk. Just to check in, she said. Sometimes she'd drop off little things, homemade soup, a card, once even a book about grief that she said helped her sleep. She said I reminded her of Mara. She said she was glad we'd been close. I started to avoid her calls. Let them go to voicemail. But then she'd text me something kind and I'd feel like a monster and I'd call her back and pretend everything was normal. The worst was one night in December. It was snowing heavy and I had just gotten off a shift at the tire shop. My phone buzzed, her mom. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. She was crying. She said, I've been having this nightmare. Over and over. About the car. About her being alone. I didn't say anything, she said. But then I remember you were there. You were with her. You stayed. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the dark, staring at my phone, wondering if I should text her the truth. Instead, I opened a bottle of whiskey and drank until I couldn't remember her voice. But things didn't stay quiet. In the spring, someone else started talking, a guy Mara used to hang out with, Jeff. Kind of a sketchy guy, but he knew people. He posted something on Facebook, some vague post about people pretending to be heroes who were really just scared cowards. People started messaging me. One even asked, "Weren't you with her?" I denied it, said I hadn't seen her that day until after it happened, that I'd told the cops the truth. I could feel the walls closing in, but still, I said nothing. Then something happened I wasn't ready for. Her mom invited me over. She said she had something to give me. I almost didn't go. I sat in my car outside her house for 20 minutes, thinking about driving off. But then the porch light came on and she waved from the door, smiling like I was one of the last good things she had left. Inside, everything looked the same. Same photos on the mantle. Same candle smell, that mix of cinnamon and something floral. She offered me tea. I said yes, mostly to buy time. Then she handed me a small box. It was a wooden one, hand-painted. Mara's name was carved into the top. I've been sorting through her things, she said. She kept journals, sketchbooks, some stuff I can't look at yet. But she wrote about you a lot. I thought maybe you'd want this. I didn't want it. I didn't want to know what Mara had written about me. But I nodded and thanked her and told her I'd take care of it. When I got home, I put the box on my dresser and left it there for a week. Then one night, I opened it. There were 3 notebooks inside, some loose photos, and a folded letter. The letter was addressed to me. It wasn't long, just a couple paragraphs. She must have written it days before she died. Her handwriting was a mess, but I knew it was hers. She said she felt tired, that everything felt heavy all the time, that the only person who didn't make her feel worse was me. She said, "If I ever go too far, I hope it's you who's there. Not because I want you to see something awful, but because you'd understand." That line gutted me, because the truth is, I didn't understand. I didn't do anything. I froze. And when she needed someone, I just sat there like a coward. But that wasn't even the worst part. In the back of the last journal was a list. Short, scribbled names. People I trust. My name was first. I slammed the book shut and sat on the floor, shaking. I felt like I was going to throw up. She had trusted me more than anyone. And when it mattered, I let her die. I thought that was the end of it. But it wasn't. A few weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. It was a detective. He said his name was Detective Ramos. Calm voice. Not aggressive, but not casual either. He said, "We're revisiting a few overdose cases from the past few years. Just tying up loose ends." My stomach dropped. He asked if we could talk. In person. Said it wasn't anything formal, just a few questions. He mentioned Mara's name like it was just another file in a stack. I asked, "Am I in trouble?" He said, "Not unless you've got something you haven't told us." That line hit hard. We met at a coffee shop near the police station. Neutral ground. I showed up early, hands shaking so bad I couldn't hold my cup without the lid. He didn't waste time. We had an anonymous tip come in a couple months back. Said you might have been there when Mara died. That maybe you didn't just find her like you told Dispatch. I didn't say anything. My jaw locked up. He pulled out a small notebook and tapped his pen on it. "Look," he said, "we're not looking to charge you. There's no active case. No one's pushing for prosecution. But we've got to be thorough." Then he leaned forward. "Was she already gone when you called 911? I nodded. He scribbled something. "Why didn't you say that then?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. He didn't press. Just stared for a few seconds and said, "Sometimes doing nothing feels easier in the moment. Doesn't make it right, but it happens." Then he closed his notebook and stood up. That's all I needed. He walked out and just like that it was over. At least legally. But something shifted after that. A few days later, Mara's mom texted me again. Just one line. "Can we talk? I heard something." That's when I knew it was coming. The unraveling. I didn't respond right away. I stared at the message for a full hour, reading it over and over. I heard something. That's all she wrote. No emoji, no punctuation. Just quiet suspicion. I tried to tell myself it could be about anything. Maybe someone said something stupid. Maybe it wasn't about me. But I knew better. That kind of message only meant one thing: someone told her. Or she found out herself. 2 days passed. I didn't reply. Then she showed up at my work. I was on my lunch break, sitting out behind the tire shop, eating chips from a bag and scrolling through nothing on my phone. She just appeared around the corner, holding her coat closed against the wind. I figured you'd be here, she said. My heart dropped. She stood a few feet away, looked tired, older than I remembered. I didn't say anything. She said, "You were in the car, weren't you?" I didn't answer. She stepped closer. "You watched her die." I looked at the ground. "I just need to know," she said. "I've been trying to piece it together. Jeff said something to my sister. The detective came by the house. But I need to hear it from you." I nodded. She sat down next to me on the loading dock. Quiet. We both just sat there for a minute. Then she said something I wasn't ready for. I used to blame myself. I thought, maybe if I'd been stricter, or paid more attention, or said no that one time she asked to move out. Her voice cracked. But now I know it wasn't just me. Everyone failed her. Even you. I didn't defend myself. Couldn't. "I'm not mad," she said. "I should be. But I'm not. I'm just tired of being lied to." I looked at her and saw it, that final break in her eyes. Not hate. Just a dull, steady grief that had finally settled in. Then she got up and walked away. Didn't yell. Didn't curse. Just walked back to her car like she was leaving a cemetery. I haven't heard from her since. Sometimes I think about calling her. Just to say I'm sorry. Not to explain. I've done enough of that in my head. But I don't. Because I know it's too late. And sorry won't change what I didn't do. Some nights I still see Mara's face in the passenger seat. Still hear the silence after she stopped breathing. And I wonder if that moment, that 1 second of hesitation, is who I really am.